Everyone's checking their technology. I want to thank everyone for being here. We have Pacific News Center, KOM, Pacific Daily News, One Post, Pacific Island Times. I want to welcome them. They've been joining us the last several briefings. Of course, our Catholic newspaper, Untalan, John Michael Pineda, the new editor. So everyone set?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Half a day and welcome everybody. So here we are again. Last week, Wednesday, we announced a year of reparation focusing on prayer and sacrifice for such things as sexual abuse, sexual assault, broken marriages, divorces, and many other things. The following Thursday, you will recall Archbishop Burns presented an update on the canonical trial process for Archbishop Apron, and he emphasized how the past must remain the past as we move forward toward being a renewed and improved church. Tuesday, Mr. Richard Untalan, who is the president of the Archdiocesan Finance Council, and AFC member Rick Duenas, discuss with you our finances with special attention to the new school assessments and parish assessments. Thank you for your coverage of that news briefing as well. Today, the AFC Council is here again to share some news on settlement issues and archdiocesan properties, an area, an issue that you have been asking us about quite often. So our briefings with you, the media, the series of meetings that have been occurring these past several months with Archbishop Burns, Father Jeff, the AFC Council, and Josie Valladolid, our finance officer. Those meetings with the school principals, the clergy, the school boards, and the parish finance council members throughout our parishes. They are all part of a specific process and vision. They illustrate the church alive, at work, busy. We're working to heal, to improve, and to become a better, stronger diocese. Always, though, through the grace of God and as one body in Christ. So to continue this process of dialogue, of communication, I am pleased to present again the Archdiocesan Finance Council, the President, Richard Untalan, and the very, very welcome members who have been working hard with the entire group, Mr. Joe Rivera and Mr. Chris Felix. So again, I'd like to present Mr. Richard Untalan.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning. Jay, could you please pass on the documents that we're going to present to the media today? What we're going to give you today is a list of the Guam Catholic Church essential properties. And then we're going to give you a list of the Guam Catholic Church non-essential properties. I know many of you have been asking about it for some time, but let me tell you the history of this. First of all, it took thousands of man-hours to put this together. Particularly, it was started by Mr. Joe Rivera when he first came on in October. His committee just to assemble and to organize and to research every property that's owned by this archdiocese took months. Thereafter, Chris Felix took over and did probably over 1,000 man-hours as well himself to, again, not only assemble it, but put it in a meaningful form to understand it per lot, where it's village, whether it's usable, not usable. Many, many factors went into defining what it is. So the Guam Catholic Church essential properties is defined as such. Simply, the church buildings and the surrounding grounds, the schools and the surrounding grounds, Kamalen Karidat, Catholic Social Service and surrounding grounds, and 4 leasehold properties that we consider essential to maintaining the operation of the Chancery and this Archdiocese. everything else falls under non-essential. And as you can see, number one, in terms of, and you'll see is the former Accion Hotel, the RMS, that's on your property. Number two is the Chancery Complex. They're on the block. In other words, they're available for whatever it's necessary to do for the settlement process that is currently going on now. As you know, that is currently going on, and our attorneys, as well as the team, working with Attorney David Lohan and the other attorneys involved in starting this process. The attorneys have gotten our financial statements as well, and certainly has gotten this as well, or be getting it this morning. So we put this together, again, as a show of accountability and transparency. We're not hiding anything. And this is what we have, and this is what we present to you today. Then we have Chris Felix, maybe talk a little bit more about this list that he put together. Well, he looked at Joe, so we're going to start with Joe.
My boss.
Well, like Richard said, there was a lot of man hours that went into compile these lists. It came in 2 huge folders that we had to go through, and we tried to get everything. We probably did. We may have missed something, and so it's a work in progress. But I think we got pretty much the bulk of the properties. And as Richard was saying, that it's difficult, but it's divided in what's necessary for the church, what's necessary for the schools, and what's necessary to help fund the operations up here, the leasehold. And other than that, everything else is considered non-essential. That's my.
Chris?
So I guess there's a few clarifications or points I'd like to make. The properties given here, again, as said, we're still researching probably another 30 or 40 properties. We started with hundreds of them. I think like 300 properties we started with. While researching, some of them were sold, some of them were swapped off, some of them were traded for other properties. We had to track each property to find out who still owned it, who didn't own it, and where did it go and why. I did a lot of work with Jenny Shimizu, who did a phenomenal amount of work, and I'd like to give a lot of credit to Security Title, who donated a lot of time and effort, probably more than I did, in researching each property. The next step, we came up with this list, but a lot of properties that are on this list are really more than just the lot number that is given. There's fractional lots if you're dealing with a Ganya. There's a lot of other properties, lot numbers, but these are the basic lots, and then the description of the building I think will help you to find it, and if you don't, give me a call. I can tell you where it is. I've driven to most of them and inspected most of them. Again, this is, we think, is a pretty final list, but there's probably some more that may pop up, and then it'll be determined whether they're essential or non-essential. Thank you.
Again, for your information as well, when we define essential versus non-essential, of course, we had the approval of the Archbishop, the Archdiocesan Finance Council, as well as the college consultant. So it's not something we pulled out of the air. It was deliberated on, it was defined, it was research, and much effort went into defining what is essential versus non-essential. Keeping in mind that we have this outstanding sex abuse lawsuits that's going to, that's going to run into the millions probably. We don't know, and that again, it's up to what's going on with settlement negotiations now. And so it's right now to date 85 sex abuse cases. So, but this is what's available. Part of the component of the settlement package is this non-essential properties, as well as perhaps, as you probably figured out yourself, perhaps insurance money and other sources of funding from the other defendants as well. So this is where we are today. We've come a long way towards achieving this point. This is going to go a long way towards hopefully settling what has really been a very painful experience so far for this Archdiocese and for our new Archbishop. But it's a struggle and a pain that we're all going through, and we're all going to cope with, and we're going to, I think, come out at least with some kind of hope and healing that's going to prevail in unifying this archdiocese again. Any questions? Yes, Crystal.
Have you calculated how much these non-essential properties are worth?
Not officially. We have, I think we're going to leave that up to the experts, appraisers, and the attorneys, and anyone else who would to value this. But we don't want to speculate, and we certainly don't want to put our input in right now. Yes?
So your announcement before about the net book assets being about 135 million, was that including?
Yes.
Okay.
How they arrived at that net book value, assets, that was an accounting that happened years ago. It's a book value we can't determine. Perhaps it will come up to that amount, perhaps it won't. Yes, because sometimes reality, market value, does not jive with what book value is. Okay. Yes, Janelle.
You mentioned that you were already working with a title agency and some of these properties.
Yes.
So you've already liquidated some of the assets?
No, they're not being liquidated. Security titles, it is just clear the title. Make sure that it's clean, there's no encumbrances, there's no liens, and in fact, we own it. Because we're not sure if we do own it or not. And so that's the role of the security title. And they've been magnificent in really helping out.
How do you not know which properties you own and don't own?
That was part of the problem we had to face when we took over as the Archdiocesan Finance Council. We found folders, we found things, and it was just a mismatch of things that we had to pull together to identify and organize. And so that was part of the mess that Archbishop Burns referred to in the previous press conference.
Okay. I noticed that there's a lot of, for the non-essential, there's a lot of properties here that are just lots.
Correct.
Yeah. What was the purpose for them? How were they acquired? What was
we don't know. Many of them are very historical, going back 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We have no idea. A lot probably are from donations, a lot probably from purchase, but mainly from donors, from various families. Yes. But we don't know for sure, because many times it's not identified except the name of the person that's giving it, and that's all. For what purpose, we don't know.
The last time I asked Archbishop Burns if there was an appraisal on the RMS property in Jonia.
There hasn't been any.
Well, he mentioned that there was an unofficial one, and that, but he couldn't give the value.
Well, the unofficial one could be anybody's opinion, and that's unofficial.
Do you have the number of the unofficial?
No, we don't. And we'd rather not speculate simply because of the settlement process. It would be premature to do so, and I think it may create expectations or non-expectations. I think it would be not in our best interest to do so. Yes, Heidi.
Mr. Untalan, previously you announced that there's 1 million in initial funding for hope and healing.
Correct.
What is the fund now in that?
That's still there. Pardon me?
Has it increased?
Well, with this non-essential properties, it certainly will increase, but not in terms of cash. Right now, it's just mainly properties that we're looking at. We have not yet put in additional cash. Maybe some, but nothing significant. Yes, Neil.
Has the Archdiocese been approached by any people interested in buying any of the property?
We're always getting approached about people looking at our properties because they see them in the villages and everything, but nothing official. And certainly we have to be transparent about it. We, avoid any insider trading, avoid any issues of not being arm's length and everything. So we're very, very careful of that.
Would the Archdiocese entertain any proposals at this time, or is this?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Do you have okay, thank you. Okay. Yes, Crystal.
So you mentioned in the previous press conference about the Judiciary Guam taking the space that was once Kamalen Karidat. Can you say how much they're leasing for?
Yes, I believe it's $6,000 a month. I mean, sorry, $12,000 a month.
But 1 year free rent.
A 1 year free rent. So
What
they
is
can,
that free
which means to allow them to free rent to allow them to come in, build out their improvements. They're spending
$300,000.
So is that free year already?
Started.
It started, and I think it started
Yeah.
a couple months ago. So we're not getting any rent right now from it.
Because in exchange for them improving
That's right.
the property.
We gave
So
them
the
free.
improvement itself costs about
Several $100,000. We don't know the exact amount simply because it's at their control. Yes, we don't. We have no control over how much they're going to spend. You know, like any tenant, they can spend whatever they want.
This is the former Karidat.
No, it's the building that was the gift shop down right at the bottom of the hill next to McDonald's, across from McDonald's. Yes, that part.
The old Epicure.
The old Epicure building.
So it's 12,000 a month.
Yes.
Correct. Yes, Daniela.
Any idea when you'll be liquidating the first of your properties?
We don't know yet, and that much depends on the settlement process. It really do, because we don't want to jump the gun. We don't want to say, okay, we're going to liquidate this, and find out that we shouldn't liquidate. So much depends on what's going on between negotiating between the plaintiff's attorneys, the settlement process, and this whole mediation process that I understand is going to proceed.
So basically, if it's really necessary,
Yes.
then that's the
Oh,
time to start.
it's on the block. If it has to be liquidated, it's liquidated. Yes.
Is this particular list ordered in any way, like from least essential or value-wise?
No, if you look at the letters, we moved the top, what we felt were the largest assets or the surprising assets that we were going to look at on the top, and then beyond, after that, it's alphabetical. We started with just numbering based on village, basically, and then we found out it was sold, it no longer applied, or it was really part of the other lot. Then you'll see numbers being jumped in each village. We started with a thing, and I kept the numbering system that's on the left column.
There's no doubt about one thing, that both the Zonia property, as you call it, and the Chancery Complex here are probably two most valuable pieces of property in terms of market value. Yes, Janelle.
Who is your insurance agency?
Right now it would be through, how would we identify them? Just National Insurance? Cowboys Insurance is a general agent, and we got our insurance through them. So they have various underwriters.
At the last press conference, there was a mention that you guys were behind on your insurance payments. Will that affect your insurance policy at all?
No, because we're taking steps to correct that, cure it, and to refinance many of the problems that we discovered when we first entered.
Disclose the amount?
Sure. I think when we decided to give you that disclosure on the parish assessments, and then which we're getting today, because our chief financial officer is off island, we could also disclose what's the outstanding and the outstanding payables and everything. Certainly we can do that.
And the value of the...
That's right, and the amounts.
The amount, okay.
Correct. Let's do that. Because I think it's also on our website, but we'll go ahead and give it to you directly. Yes?
Did I hear correctly that you are giving the attorneys, at least the plaintiff's attorneys, copies of your audited financial reports?
Yes. Well, it's not audited. What we have is short of an audit. It's called a review. And we've given them that already. Well, at least some of it. Most of it's going to be given today.
Okay,
Yeah, because
there's mention of that in court that Attorney David Lujan yet only received 2014.
I know.
Financial statements.
Financial statements. So he's getting, if not, have already 2014, 2015, and 2016.
So as of today.
As of today. Correct.
Any updates on settlement talks, possible settlement negotiations?
No updates at this point.
Open healing?
It'd be premature. We're going to concentrate this today. Wait for the next press conference. Yes, Heidi.
Mr. Untalan, so if, for example, today, after we publish this story, if someone is interested in in the RMS property, could they provide offer?
Sure.
So RMS is basically for sale.
Well, it's on the block, and how it's going to be addressed in terms of either liquidated or sold or whatever, it's there. It's not. In other words, there's no restriction. We are not placing any restriction. In other words, it's available as part of the settlement process.
It's not for sale, but any offers will be looked at.
Certainly will be entertained. Yes,
Is
Janelle.
there a threshold for the RMS property? Like,
On the
gotta
case,
meet a minimum amount?
Not at this time.
I mean, obviously you won't entertain like $50,000, but do you have like a...
None at this time. It would not be, I would just say, to our best interest to disclose what we think we want, only to find out that it could be worth more.
And what will happen? Will the seminary will the seminary continue operating there?
Well, as far as we know, that matter is being addressed by the Seminary Review Committee, headed by Father Richard Kidd, and that's continuing, and that would be addressed. Okay.
Oh, correction, Deacon Steve Martinez.
That would be Deacon Steve Martinez, I'm sorry.
That's the seminary review committee led by Deacon Martin.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, remember Chris has to go soon.
Okay, all right. So, one or two more questions, and that's it. Anything else? Crystal, you have no questions?
My question was the same as Heidi's. Basically, if we publish this and people have questions, it's not necessarily for sale, just on the chopping block. So I think you said it, Mr. Felix.
The person to contact would be Mr. Chris Felix.
I mean, that's like to know where it is and what it is.
That's
What
right.
it's worth, I can't put a value yet on it, you know.
Okay.
What's the
Is there a
contact number for Mr.
You wanna give out your cell phone?
Well, we don't want to advertise. Okay.
I'll give it, I mean,
Or should they just call the
Yes.
Chancery?
And ask for Chris Felix.
I don't think they have my number to Chancery.
But I think it's a more, I think it'd be easier if they just call Mr. Chris Felix.
So what about the list of essential properties?
Pardon me? That's not touchable as far as we're concerned.
Okay.
2121.
Can we be provided a soft copy or electronic copy of the list? So
Which
Oh,
leaves?
the list.
The list.
Oh, the list? Yes, we can.
Yes, please.
Okay, we can do that. All right, that would be the
you talked about
last one.
I'm going backwards. You talked about four leasehold. What was that? Right?
Yes.
What was that?
There's 4 leasehold properties, right, currently that's helping the Archdiocese. That would be the sanatoriums. But the building where the law firm Seville and Tang is located. The Epicure building, the former Epicure building, and the FHP lease, across from the ITC.
Those are properties that are owned by the church that are leased to somebody and they're
For many
receiving
years.
income.
And they're generating revenues.
That's correct.
So you wouldn't be able to. Besides, already you gave us the revenue that you're anticipating to receive for the judiciary. But can you say more about how much revenues you're getting from these other buildings, or no?
We could probably give that to you, but not off the top of our head.
So
But
that's
it's-
Sanatoris, the former Epicure building, which is the judiciary, and then the last one was the FHP property.
Yes.
And then the civil tank.
We call it the FHP lease, not property, but FHP lease. We own the
FHP
property.
lease.
That's right.
Sanatoris.
Sanatoris Shrine, the shrine, okay, at Guam Reef. And the Seville and Tang lease, which is right here in the canyon, across from the title guarantee building.
FHP, I don't think we own. We're sandwiched.
Yeah,
Sandwich, yes, we're sandwich, yes.
So if those leasing the
You can easily pick those up from the Department of Land Management too, by the way. They're all public records.
It's not
so
very
if
easy,
those
but
leasing the
No.
property want to buy them,
Pardon me?
so if those leasing these church properties want to eventually.
Those are not for sale, those are considered essential.
Essential,
We need that income to run.
Okay.
the operations of the church.
I have actually a question from a viewer. This is Bobby Beneventi asking, does this list of land include what was deeded to the name of Anthony Apron with the intent by the donor that it was for the Catholic Church?
We don't know.
There
We
was
really don't know.
one property deeded to Anthony Apparon, I believe from his family, that we left out of this list.
From his Apron
But
family.
it was family.
And it's deeded to him personally, so that would not be
We
this.
didn't consider it.
Yeah, it's not church property.
It
Yes.
seems sort of surprising to me that the Chancery Complex is not essential.
Correct.
Where would
would you
the bishop
relocate
stay?
if you had to?
But
Well, we're gonna have to find the way we
You
can.
can move in with me if we're all.
Well, actually, if you see, and we've talked to our attorneys and experience, you'll see that in Seattle it was sold, in St. Paul it was sold, so, yes. The courts would look at this as non-essential.
I think
Alright.
also, if I understand it, there's the term you've heard, the ministerial activities, right? So, not to say that ministries don't emanate from over here, but you got the schools, especially the churches, and it's a kind of a ranking in this kind of unusual situation.
And we're also looking what's been done in the past. And we've used that criteria carefully and to see what's essential and non-essential.
Done in-
Okay.
Done in the past.
In other dioceses, where they've either filed bankruptcy or settle or whatever, what else they've done, and face the same issue. Okay, That's
Like
it.
the Carmelite property,
Yes,
can you give any updates on that? Where does that fall
It's right
in?
here.
it's in the list.
It's non-essential.
Non-essential.
Non-essential, yes.
The church, the church and the Carmelite down in, you're talking about Malolo?
Yes.
The church is, has to be cut out, but that's considered essential. The Carmelite is not.
Yes.
Okay.
The building itself.
The building,
Around the.
Building
The old convent, yeah.
Yes.
Is it considered high value?
Need to survey, I'm sure.
Pardon me?
No, honestly, not that I wouldn't. It's Malolo, it's kind of a specific use. It's
All
gonna
right.
be hard.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're streaming that live?
Yes.
What a world we live in, yes.
Hey, we want
I'm
to,
surprised John didn't put
we want to express best wishes to Neil Pang.
business.
We may be, this might be his last,
Joseph, can you grab this? Can you grab these? So let us step outside. I'll give you a summary if you're just tuning in. Really, really grateful for all the feedback. Actually, very, very educated questions in the feed today, especially that Apron, the question about Apron deeded properties. They did touch on that. So again, we are the Chancery. We just had a press conference to talk more about the Archdiocesan properties and their finances. And so basically, if you recall, it was the Hope and Healing Settlement. The Hope and Healing Settlement, Hope and Healing nonprofit. It's a third party that's dealing with all the settlement agreements. They're charged with dealing with the clergy sex abuse and the church sex abuse cases. Well, they need money. They need money to settle, and we know that there was a $1 million in seed money that was for that. That was for Hope and Healing Guam. But they need that money to grow, obviously. There's 80 plus sex abuse lawsuits against the church, so they're going to continue to need money. So what I have here, hot off the press, basically it's 2 pages worth. One list is for non-essential properties. Okay, non-essential properties. I'll have this online. And then we have the essential properties. So these are the churches and the surrounding areas. Also, Kamalen Karidat is there. But if you notice on the non-essential, number 1, that's the joint name property, that's RMS. And number 2 is the place I'm standing at right now, and that is the Chancery. And so basically, you know, these non-essential properties are on the chopping block. They're not necessarily for sale, but the Chancery will, the Archdiocese will entertain inquiries if there are people that are interested. Let's look at that page again. Non-essential. So what they did was they looked at all the properties owned by the Archdiocese, figured out what needs to get cut, what can get cut in lieu of all of these clergy sex abuse cases.
Thank you.
A lot of these properties were acquired through donors, different means. Again, there's no appraisal on the RMS just yet. That's again the number 1 thing on the chopping block. That's the RMS and the Chancery. So on our list of essential properties, again, we have the churches, all the Catholic schools. My shadow is blocking the churches and the Catholic schools, and some surrounding area for that. The Kamalen Karidat. Also, we have 4 leasehold properties, and these are properties that are generating income for the Archdiocese, and those include, if you know the Epicure building, that's right next to McDonald's in Agania. It used to be the Kamalen Karidat gift shop. That's going to generate $12,000 a month from the judiciary. We have 3 other buildings. There's 3 other properties or leases. That's the FHP lease that's in Tumuning, and 2 others. So basically, these other properties are considered essential because they're generating revenue. And anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Untalan? We're still live.
We're slowly making progress. We're getting there.
Okay, thanks so much, Mr. Untalan. Again, you heard it first that he is the Archdiocesan Finance Council President. We'll have more on this story tonight. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for the questions. I love asking them for you. And again, tonight, KUAM.